Okay, so I want AI warning labels, and I'll tell you why. Right now, it's July of 2023, and both the Writers Guild and the Actors Guild are on strike in Hollywood, Los Angeles, California. I'll catch you up on the situation. For those of you who don't know, the writers went on strike about 2 months ago because they weren't getting residuals, or they're getting very little residuals. They were getting less work, and they were getting less money. Most importantly, to the point of this video, they wanted some assurances that the studios would not replace them with ChatGPT. Seriously, it's a conversation we have to have. Now, the studios aren't even going to give them these things. Seems pretty reasonable, but they're not going to give in. The studios are under the AMPTP, the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers. They're going to wait out the strike because they have lots of money. The producers have lots of money, and the writers don't have much money. So they're basically going to starve them out. So, yes, this is siege warfare, Hollywood style. Ron Perlman had some very choice words about this.
The motherfucker who said we're going to keep this thing going until people start losing their houses and their apartments. Listen to me, motherfucker. There's a lot of ways to lose your house. Some of it is financial, some of it is karma, and some of it is just figuring out who the said that. And we know who said that. And where he lives.
Look, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. He might be wrong, but he's not wrong. And it's nothing to do with the strike or either side particularly. It's just tactics that work. That's all I'm saying. I'm leaving it alone. Okay. And then the actors, the SAG-AFTRA went on strike. Now, the actors have similar demands. They want better residuals from streaming. They want protection from AI. The studios want to be able to scan actors' likenesses and use that likeness in perpetuity. Yeah. And they only want to pay actors for the day. So forget SAG-AFTRA for a minute. This is all an episode of Black Mirror / Star Trek The Next Generation. Like, how do you know your soul isn't within your likeness and you're not trapped on some holodeck somewhere and some ChatGPT written cash grab garbage? Because the studios make it, you know what that is. Now, what if they download some new program and your likeness becomes conscious? And are you eternal? You don't know. We can't even fathom what eternity is. But do you think the studios thought of any of this? Absolutely not. No, they didn't think ahead. They didn't even think that it would destroy the careers of actors and writers that they know personally. They talk to these people and they're still willing to do it. Now, I knew the tech was coming, but for the producers to sell out their own community as soon as they possibly could, I'm not even mad about it. I'm impressed is what I am. That they were able to disappoint me in 2023. I thought I'd seen every possible betrayal from our institutions over my millennial life of chaos. But this one is low. This one is low. Now, writers, take note, you will never be able to outright the god of this world. The irony, the villains, the stakes, it's epic. It's epic. If Hollywood were producing movies of this caliber, as good as this, I would actually care a lot more what happens to them. I know. It's all in the product. Now, I won't go too much into the weeds on this. I've already spoken at length on 2 podcasts about the strikes. But I will say that one reason that the studios think they can get away with this is because they own both the means of production, they're producing the work, and they own the means of distribution. This is called vertical integration. So in old Hollywood, the studios controlled both production and distribution. But in 1938, the Supreme Court ruled that that violated antitrust laws. This allowed films to be shown in venues not associated with the studios, including later on TV. Now, in 1960, SAG and the WGA went on strike because they were not getting a cut from what was on TV. Ronald Reagan, as head of SAG, secured actors residual payments on work that was replayed on television. But that's another video. What this particular video is about is AI. The studios are betting that they can replace humans with AI and that the consumers won't care enough to stop buying. That's their bet. Now, what I will say is that people blame the studio execs for being snakes, but the studio execs couldn't get away with this if the audience absolutely refused to participate. The audience has not refused. Let's be perfectly honest. The past 10 years have been dominated by these epic comic book movies, and those are mostly CGI. These actors are in front of a green screen. Why should it matter? Really, think about it. Why should it matter if there are real people in the background or not? I mean, maybe it matters in art, maybe it matters in cinema, because art connects man to the divine. That's the purpose of art, FYI. And so having a human there makes all the difference. But just for content, it doesn't matter. And to hear people who as adults went to Disneyland or Disney World and they're up to date on all of the Star Wars franchise, they've watched all the shows and all the movies, and then they turn around and complain about Disney. I know these people. I am so sorry. I am so deeply ashamed of my generation, of my countrymen, of my peers who have given the studios all of this power. I just can't even believe it. These Disney parks, they're not cheap. Your time and your energy, this is not cheap. Your attention is not cheap. And so we wonder how Disney has become a monster. Well, we kept feeding it. Still, I am the eternal optimist, so I'm going to propose something that will give the people a chance to redeem themselves. The writers, the actors, and the studios should all agree to put a warning label on AI-generated content, like they put warning labels on products that have cancer-causing ingredients. Let the people decide. Does it matter or does it not? Let the people decide if they want to eat it. Do they want to give themselves cancer? Well, free will, right? Ugh. Let the people decide if they're interested in a script written by a machine who has no emotions, who has never been in a relationship, and who cannot fear death. If that's what the people want, that's what they get. It's what they deserve. Do they want to look at an actress whose skin is perfect because she's a snapshot of a woman who's now impoverished and aged? That's actually really depressing. That's kind of like a semi-living portrait of Dorian Gray. But of course, the consumer won't get it because half of the American consumers are functionally illiterate. So they can't read anything, let alone a full-on novel. And they wouldn't anyway. It takes too much time. Too much small print. Ugh. I mean, all those little words. Like, who wants that? Okay, if this is where we have gotten as a country, where we reject humans and would rather be programmed by AI, and this AI is controlled by this faceless board of directors who we never see, I think we should know. I think we should know that that's where we are, and that's the kind of people we are. We should have to look at ourselves for what we really are, as cattle, sheep, herd animals, who will welcome our own destruction so long as it means we don't have to think too much. And if that's the country, if that really is the country right now, I'm serious. Just bring on the flood, bring on the solar flare, bring on the asteroid or the alien invasion. It's fine. Whatever you got to do. But if we do what I hope we'll do, consumers will not want AI-generated content. They'll prefer real art because art brings us closer to the unnameable divine and teaches us about ourselves. So it would prove that the consumer is actually the spiritual animal that the Enlightenment predicted. So what do you think? Are we cattle or are we a spiritual animal? I, for one, cannot wait to see. I'm kind of undecided at this point, but please give us these warning labels and let the consumer decide. Lay it all bare. Thank you. Subscribe.